Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Lüning, Horst Lüning, and I'm the master taster of Whisky.com. And today we look at the Yamazaki Puncheon single malt whiskey from Japan, 48%, non-chill filtered. And this whiskey is, yes, the second of the no-age range of Yamazaki, which I taste here at my cask. And the last one was the sherry cask from Yamazaki, which Jim Murray says it was the best whiskey in the world from his point of view. I have the video for you here. If you see this video, the bottles will be gone, but I'm full of hope that there will be more from Japan coming over. But all these bottles will be quite expensive. So these bottles here, you pay $150, $180, $200 for them without an age statement. Do you dare to pay that? Well, I'm here to taste for you. There's not much written on this card box or the bottle, but there's a small leaflet or paper in here. Since it began in 1923, the Yamazaki distillery has taken exceptional care over the selection of the right casks needed to craft its wide variety of single malt whiskies. A broad range of casks are made by the skilled craftsmen at the suntory's own cooperage. They have an own cooperage. Among them is the Puncheon, a stout 480-liter cask which nurtures the new make spirit as it matures over the years. So this cask is bigger than the typical American oak standard barrel with 208 liters, or the hogshead with 250 liters. So this one, the Puncheon, had 480 liters. Inside the Puncheon, the area of whiskey per liter that comes into contact with the wood is smaller compared with the typical 180-liter bourbon barrels, which barrels do they have, or 230-liter hogsheads. Thus, the natural maturation process proceeds. It's small. It's really small. Proceeds slowly. The unique characteristics of the Puncheon cask made it perfectly suited for a long time maturation to match the warm and damp climate of Yamazaki region. So there's close to the sea, damp, quite south, warm, and if you increase the size of the cask, the area, the surface, the inner surface of the cask grows slower than the volume, the liters in the cask. And if you have a big Puncheon, then the area per liter is only half or 60% of a smaller American standard barrel. So it takes more time to extract, flavor compounds out of the staves of the Puncheon cask. Our expert coopers fashioned the cask from quarter sawn Northern American white oak. American white oak. So typically the big casks from Spain or Portugal, or they were made from European oak, which is very spicy and tannin polyphenols in. And the American white oak, they are smoother. And this time they had a big Puncheon out of American white oak with less spiciness, with a finer, more comfortable aroma. The Puncheon is the essential ingredient that gives Yamazaki single malt whiskey its unique balance of sweet flavors and deep, rich aromas loved the world over. These big casks in Spain typically today are also made out of American oak because it's cheaper, much cheaper. So 2/3 up to 80% are made of American oak and not of European oak, which is quite expensive, which grows slowly. But they are typically filled with wine, sherry, port, Rioja, whatever. So this American oak is unused before, and this makes the difference. No wine influence, but slowly aged in American white oak with a huge volume. Bottle at 48% ABV, Yamazaki Puncheon single malt whiskey is made to be enjoyed neat, as I will do. We invite you to savor the rich aroma and sweet coconut and vanilla flavor that only Puncheon cask can deliver. American oak cask can deliver. Tasting notes, color, gold, yes. Aroma, vanilla, bananas, honey, typically American white oak aromas and distillery character. Taste, dry, slightly spicy. Finish, dry and crisp. So have a look. Golden color. Peaches. In the beginning, peaches, strong peaches. Vanilla. And behind some cereal. Is it barley? Probably. More fruit. More vanilla. No alcohol at all. So the cask influence from this first fill, American oak Puncheon, is already over the alcohol, which is 48%, which is quite strong. No spiciness in the back, not yet. So American white oak, and not matured too long. How long? I can't tell you. It's quite dark, 12 years, 15 years. It's a huge cask, perhaps longer than that. But it's fresh. There hasn't been any bourbon or wine before in that cask, so there will be more color coming out of that cask. So perhaps 12 years old. Wonderful. Slightly spicy? No. A lot of spice developing, but no bitterness at all. And this is the difference between the sherry cask I tasted yesterday, just 5 minutes ago, which I published yesterday. There had been a lot of bitterness in this, and here, no bitterness, spiciness, a longer aftertaste, yes, and perhaps some honey, yes, probably. More spiciness now. Whenever you swallow your first sip, then the aromas come up through the back of your nose, and every taste which comes from the back to your nose is censored by your brain in a different way, telling you swallowed it, it was good, and now the taste will be better. More of this, please. So the second sip is more rewarding than the first, and typically a little bit different. Yeah. Wonderful. Be careful. This one is a very good whiskey, but it's also very expensive. It's $150, $180. It tastes like a Scotch whiskey. You won't have this experimental feeling like with an Australian or a Central European whiskey, French whiskey, which always tastes a little bit like eau de vie. But this one is from the character itself. It's Scottish. The Toy, how was it called? the man who learned whiskey making in the 1920s, the early 1920s in Scotland, and went to Yamazaki back. He built typically Scottish pot stills, used the receipt he knew from Scotland from producing the whiskey. So everything from the inner process is really Scottish, and the maturation now differs. I'm not aware of American oak first fill, no, juvenile cask puncheon size in Scotland. No, I never heard of that. So it might be interesting to pay that money for this wonderful experiment, but for less money you will find equally good whiskies also in Scotland. So if you look after these bottles or not depends on your personal feeling. There will be, I hope so, more of these bottles in the future coming from Japan. I'm afraid they won't be cheaper since Jim Murray rewarded the sherry cask Yamazaki with the best whiskey in the world 2014. So prices will rise as soon as you see a bottle. Go for it. Thank you very much. There's more to come. I'm afraid no Japanese whiskey for the next weeks. Stay tuned and feel free to share this video with your friends.